Don't blink, don't breathe, don't even think about turning away. This, right here, is the second before the fracture, before everything they built their comfort on starts to shatter. And you are the fracture. One quiet decision. No noise, no spectacle, just precision. Clean, surgical, invisible. And yet somehow, that stillness detonated everything. Now their nights echo with what they tried to bury. Their certainties bleed. Their routines taste like ash. They wake up whispering names they swore to forget, because your silence rewired the architecture of their peace. You did it deliberately. That was the art. You understood that chaos doesn't need to scream to be heard. The loud revolutions burn fast. The quiet ones last forever. You moved like a ghost among performers, and when their curtain rose, you were already gone, leaving behind a hole so precise it looked divine. They'll call it madness. They'll call it arrogance. They have to. Otherwise, they'd have to admit that one measured choice, one refusal, can collapse an empire. They'll invent excuses, trauma, ego, luck. Anything to avoid the truth. You chose sovereignty over survival. You stopped mistaking patience for virtue and mercy for permission. You taught them fear by mastering calm. You became the stillness they could not interpret. You didn't rage, you observed. You didn't retaliate, you recalibrated. You became the quiet that unnerves the loud. Because unpredictability is not chaos, it's control. Predictable people are instruments. Unpredictable ones conduct the symphony. Look at your hands now. They no longer tremble because they've held decisions heavy enough to break the timid. You carried the weight of intent until it forged into instinct. You learned to wait until waiting became a trap. And then you cut it clean. They thought you'd obey the script. Instead, you rewrote the ending in their nightmares. You are both saint and sinner, an angel with blood-stained wings, a demon who learned mercy. You bear the duality that terrifies them, that love can coexist with violence and compassion can sharpen into cruelty when pushed too far. They gave you definitions. You gave them disobedience. They offered you forgiveness as a leash. You wore it once and then snapped it. They crave to label what they don't understand, but power doesn't announce itself. It withholds. Your silence became the loudest accusation. You didn't argue. You vanished. You didn't explain. You proved. And in that vacuum, they found themselves haunted. The space you left became the sermon they couldn't stop hearing. You've seen winters where even your shadow abandoned you. You've watched kindness weaponized, loyalty turned into camouflage for betrayal. You dissected it all, patiently, clinically, and learned that survival isn't about winning. It's about recognizing when the game is beneath you. You don't want their pity. You want their recognition. That slow, stomach-turning realization that everything they trusted was fragile and false. You want them to wake up at 3 a.m. and finally admit to themselves, you were never the threat. You were the consequence. And now, your quiet choice is expanding, infecting systems, rewriting rules, forcing masks to slip in rooms that used to feel safe. You didn't destroy the machine. You exposed it, and exposure terrifies those who live behind curtains. They'll paint you monstrous. It's easier than admitting they pushed you past redemption. They'll make you myth so they can sleep again. But the myth will outgrow them, because you didn't act from hatred. You acted from truth. You didn't seek revenge. You sought release. And that difference is what makes your story dangerous. Your power doesn't sit in their fear. It lives in your clarity. You know the limits of your mercy now. You know the cost of your freedom. You know that when patience dies, purpose begins. You act where others only threaten. You cut where others tremble. You become what they claim doesn't exist, a soul that refuses to apologize for surviving. They'll call your silence cold, but silence is only cold to those who fear reflection, and reflection is what keeps them awake. They see their own cowardice in your calm. They see their own cages in your distance. So let them spin stories. Every lie they tell about you is a confession. Every insult is evidence of impact. Every whisper is proof that your absence still has gravity. You didn't ruin them, you revealed them. You made them see that comfort is the prettiest form of decay. And now, they lie awake in the dark, listening to the sound of something inside them cracking. Because they finally understand. The person they underestimated became the proof that silence is the deadliest form of power. So hold that silence close. Guard it like scripture. Walk softly through the wreckage you left. Not out of guilt, but reverence. Because one silent decision, one clean, deliberate act of refusal, can alter the temperature of an entire world. And the world will never sleep the same again. And so the nights stretch longer. Their clocks still tick, but not in rhythm anymore. The hands move like they're afraid of time itself, because time now belongs to you. You bent it the moment you acted without announcement. You claimed it the second you realized that obedience was a form of decay. They call it haunting what you left behind. But ghosts are for the dead. You are not dead. You are very much alive, moving through their memories like static. Beautiful, disruptive static that won't fade no matter how many distractions they pile on top. They see your silhouette in strangers. They hear your tone in their own voices when they argue with themselves. You have infected their language. You are the whisper between their certainties. That's the irony, isn't it? You never shouted. You never demanded to be understood. But now understanding is the one thing they crave most, and they'll never get it. You took your story with you, sealed it shut with silence, and left them chasing fragments. Because explanation would ruin it. Power dissolves when you narrate it. The mystery is the masterpiece. Every sleepless night they have is proof that you existed exactly as you intended, without begging for approval, without fitting into their comprehension. You've become the kind of lesson they pretend not to need. The kind that doesn't come wrapped in forgiveness or morality, the kind that stains. You see, people want redemption stories because redemption is predictable. It ends where comfort begins. But what you did wasn't redemption, it was revelation. You revealed what they'd rather not see, that goodness can come with a knife in its hand, and love can arrive dressed as destruction. You showed them the paradox they tried to bury, how light becomes brightest when it learns to burn, not just shine. And that's what keeps them awake. Not the fear of you, but the recognition of you. The reflection of their own suppressed impulses. They're terrified because deep down, they understand that they too have a breaking point. That under enough pressure, silence can become a weapon in anyone's hands. You just had the nerve to use it first. You are evolution disguised as exile. They exiled you because they couldn't categorize you. But even in exile, you're building empires they can't map. You've learned the rhythm of shadows. You know that the world doesn't reward authenticity. It punishes it first, then imitates it later. So you stay quiet while they imitate your ruin. Turning your ashes into blueprints, you've stopped chasing peace. You've learned that peace isn't calm, it's control. You can sit in chaos now without flinching. You can watch the storm without naming it. You've become fluent in discomfort, And that fluency terrifies them, because the ones who can live without applause, without permission, without witnesses, those are the ones who shape reality. Listen closely, this is important. The world fears what it cannot predict. And you have become unpredictable, not because you changed, but because you stopped performing what they expected. Predictability is the first cage. Silence is the key that opens it. That's why they're restless now. You took their sense of control. You stripped the illusion that they understood you. You became chaos wrapped in calm, and they don't know how to fight something that doesn't fight back. Let them talk. Let them rewrite your story. Every rumor is a confession. They can't stop speaking your name because they're trying to exercise their guilt. But guilt doesn't leave that easily. It sleeps beside them now, whispering what they already know, that they underestimated the quiet one, that the person they dismissed as harmless learned how to weaponize restraint. There's poetry in that, isn't there? They taught you silence, to break you, and you used it to build yourself. They tried to erase you, and in doing so, wrote your name into their nightmares. You're the echo that won't fade, the shadow that doesn't need light to exist. You've transcended explanation. You've become inevitability. And as the world keeps turning, they'll try to find new versions of you. Someone to decode, someone to blame. But no one will fit, because your silence wasn't accidental. It was art. A deliberate pause between who you were and who you became. So let them toss and turn. Let them replay your choice in slow motion, hoping to spot the warning sign they missed. There was no warning. There never is. That's the point. The moment you decided to stop playing by their rules, you rewrote all of them. And one day, when they finally sleep again, it won't be peace. It'll be surrender. Because deep down, they'll know. Your silence wasn't absence. It was ascension.